Hi folks, HR Funk here. Back in front of the camera once again with my recently acquired Smith & Wesson Model 27-9, or as I like to call it, my 357 Magnum. If you saw my original evaluation of this handgun, you know that I mentioned at the end that I was not going to go out and shoot it until the weather got nice and it was never going to see rain, never see snow, etc. And I just couldn't wait. So a few days ago, it actually warmed up some here. It warmed up from 0 to about 20 degrees. So 20-degree increase. That seemed like it was going to be about warm enough for me to head out to the range and give this big wheelie a try. So I packed up 3 different types of ammunition. I had some Freedom Munitions 125 grain 357 Magnum ammunition. I had some hand loads featuring a 158 grain lead semi-wad cutter over top of a stout charge of 2400, and I also had some House of Pain Munitions 38 Special 158 grain jacketed hollow points. I thought that was a good enough range of ammunition to give this thing a try, so I headed out to the range, and as you'll see, there is quite a bit of snow out there. But I brushed the snow off the table. There was about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of a sheet of ice on top of the table that I was using for my accuracy test. But the only thing that really did do was make the table heavier so it was more stable. Now I moved it from 15 yards back to 25 yards because I thought, this is a 357 Magnum, so I want to test the accuracy from a real distance. There's no reason to test it from 15 yards. It can definitely make it 20 yards, so I backed up to 20 yards, and I would have gone from 25 yards, but at the range where I was shooting, the 25-yard line is kind of difficult to shoot from the bench. So I backed up to 20 yards. I started out with an accuracy test with all 3 different types of ammunition that I took with me. This is seated at the bench on top of sandbags, and here's how it went. So the accuracy results from the bench were maybe not quite what I was hoping for, but this was the first time I have ever fired this revolver, and there could be other types of ammunition that it likes better, and all in all, the accuracy wasn't that bad. Keep in mind, these are 20-yard groups. These are not my usual 15-yard groups. The Freedom Munitions that I started out with printed a group that was, and by the way, I've covered these over with the black stickers just to make them easier to see. Center to center, this group came out to 2 3/4 inches. And you can see it's a little low and a little bit to the left. And this is something that I think might be associated with this ammunition. I thought maybe it was me when I started out, but we'll see later on that I think this might just be a characteristic of this ammunition out of that particular revolver, particularly shooting low. Now, this was 125 grain ammunition. and I would imagine the sights were regulated for 158 grain 357s, so I was kind of expecting it to hit a little bit low. The off to the left part, not so much. But with the adjustable sights on the Model 27-9, this would be easy enough to dial in, and for any defensive purposes, that would be just fine from that distance of 20 yards. Next up were the 158 grain lead semi-wad cutters, those printed over here. And when I first walked up to the target for both of these, I thought, man, those groups look huge. Then I measured them and I thought, okay, well, it wasn't quite as bad as I thought they were going to be. The 158 grain lead semi-wad cutters, as I said, are over a pretty hefty charge of 2,400. I'm going to have to chronograph them at some point and see exactly what they're clocking out of the 27-9. This group was just about the same size as the Freedom Munitions group. It's just a touch smaller, actually, which kind of surprises me because it looked bigger when I was looking at it. But center to center, this group measured about 2 5/8 inches, so about 1/8 of an inch smaller center to center than I was getting with the Freedom Munition load. Interestingly, the House of Pain Munitions 38 Special load printed the best group of the day from the bench. This was right at 2 1/4 inches, nicely centered, a little bit high, and again, since it's a lower velocity load, the fact that it's printing high doesn't surprise me. The bullet doesn't get out of the barrel quite as quickly, so the barrel has time to raise a little bit more under recoil, and the shots print a little bit high. So again, not surprising with 38 Special ammunition. That, by the way, is the same reason that the Freedom Munitions 125 grain 357s print a little bit low. The bullet is getting out of the barrel quicker before it has a chance to rise as much, so those shots hit a little bit low. So not bad 20-yard accuracy, not maybe quite what I was hoping for, but again, I'm going to be working with that revolver more and more. The action is getting better and better. I have been cycling it a lot. I have about 1,000 dry fire cycles on it currently, and the action is already much better than it was when I first brought it home. And I'm going to keep working with that, by the way. And a lot of people go out right away and get an action job on a revolver if they don't like the way it feels. I don't. I heard a gunsmith say one time that an action job is basically about the same as around 5,000 cycles of the action. And I found that to be true. So I will cycle it a lot with both live ammunition and dry fire. And a lot of times it just gets nicer and nicer as it goes. And that is the poorest of poor man's action jobs. As I said, I've got about 1,000 cycles on this now, and it is notably better than it was when I first brought it home. Anyway, next up, I decided to try some defensive drills with the 27-9. First up were controlled pairs from a distance of 5 yards, and here's how they went. Five out of 6 on the heart, folks. You gotta love the 357 Magnum. And I've marked the results of those controlled pairs from 5 yards with the blue stickers you can see on the target here. And as I said at the end of the exercise, 5 out of those 6 shots are on the heart. This one made it just off into the right lung. That entire group can be covered with my fist. And that's just an idea too of how good that accuracy is, even though the action is not quite where I want it to be yet. No problem whatsoever keeping all those shots well centered from that distance on that drill. So now it's time to back up a couple of steps to 7 yards and try a couple of failure drills. This is going to be 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in rapid succession, and we'll see how they go. And wow, I was really happy with the results of those failure drills. Again, all the body shots are on the heart. This one tried to make it off, but it clipped the bottom section right there. The first failure drill, the 3rd shot that I fired is basically right dead center in that brain area. So basically that was a perfect failure drill with the Model 27. The second one, I pulled my headshot a little bit low, but the bullet struck right here at what would be the juncture between the brainstem and the spine, so I don't think my bad guy would have realized the shot was off a little bit. I don't think he would have had any concept of that whatsoever. By the way, I should have mentioned it in the last segment, the ammunition that I'm using for the failure drills is all that Freedom Munition 125 grain full power 357 Magnum ammunition. So all of these shots I think would have basically canceled this person's ticket. Now it was time to move back to a little bit greater distance, so I moved back to a distance of 15 yards, and from that distance I started in a ready position and then came up and fired 5 shots into the body as fast as I felt that I could accurately put shots on target, and here's how that looked. I'll take that. So it's getting crowded here in the middle of the target. I marked those shots from 15 yards with the green stickers, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I might have said that I was firing 5 rounds from that distance of 15 yards. I actually went through an entire cylinder, so 6 rounds. And again, that group is very nice, very well centered. It's starting to leak a little bit to the left and a little bit low, which was exactly what we saw from the bench with this ammunition. And I think, again, this is just the way that ammunition is shooting out of this revolver. We'll see when we get to 25 yards, that's even a little bit more pronounced. But still, from 15 yards, that entire group shooting at a medium shot tempo is, I didn't measure it, probably 2.5 inches or something like that. Very well centered in the target. Again, with full power 357 Magnum ammunition, I don't think our bad guy would be having a very good day. Anyway, let's go on to 25 yards now. I backed off, and I don't think I said it before, but all the shooting that I'm doing is double action. So 6 double action shots from that distance of 25 yards, and here's how it looked. And I used the yellow stickers to mark those shots from 25 yards. Hopefully you're going to be able to see these. Sometimes the yellow doesn't show up on the white target all that well, but they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The group size from that distance of 25 yards isn't bad. That's maybe 6 inches, maybe a little bit more than that, give or take. Again, it is to the left somewhat. And this could be me. There could be some of me in this. The action is still a little bit heavy, so I might be squeezing those and pulling them a little bit down and to the left. Or it could just be a characteristic of that ammunition, which is what I said before. Either way, I want to do some more shooting with the 27 before I start dialing the sight. I want to try it with some different types of ammunition and see if that makes any difference. It might just not like that Freedom Munition stuff, or it could be a situation where I do need to make a correction with that sight. Or maybe, as the action gets smoother and smoother, we'll see these shots move over and over more and more, meaning it's me and really nothing to do with the mechanical accuracy of the revolver whatsoever. In any case, for my first time ever going out and shooting the Model 27, I couldn't be much happier than this, folks. 25-yard group aside, everything else is well centered. It is basically drilling the center out of the target. The failure drills were fantastic. I am extremely, extremely happy with my new wheel gun, and I hope all of you can tell just by watching the video that that is absolutely the truth. In fact, something I have to do, and all of you out there who are leathersmiths, holster makers, whatever, I really want to get a nice leather rig for this thing. I want something reminiscent of a 1930s lawman type rig. Think brown leather, think basket weave, think Border Patrol holster, all that kind of thing. So if you have any ideas or any place that I might look for something like that, give me a shout, put something in the comment section, because that's what this holster, or that's what this revolver rather, deserves, is a really classy, good quality holster and belt to go along with it. So after all this, there was really only one thing left to find out, and that is if the Model 27 is a 7-yard tack driver. So I loaded up 3 rounds of that Freedom Munitions 125 grain Magnum ammunition, backed off to a distance of 7 yards. I had a tack in the target, and here's how it went. All right, folks, My target camera is threatening to die. I'm loaded up with 3 rounds in the 357 Magnum. Let's see if it's a Tack Driver. Just off to the left with that first shot. Let's see if I can make up for it on shot number 2. Still off to the left and a little high. One more shot to see if it's a Tack Driver. No, it's not going to be a Tack Driver. So no, sadly, not a Tack Driver, or at very least, I wasn't a Tack Driver that day. And I think I let the revolver down. I don't think it let me down. What I probably should have done was use that House of Pain Munitions 38 Special Ammo because it shot the closest to the sights of all the ammunition that I tested from the bench. But I decided to go with the full power Magnum ammunition just to see if I could pull it off, and I couldn't. I may revisit that. I did try it again, by the way, off camera. If you look at the target behind me, you can see another 3-shot group over here. So I gave it another try off camera, still didn't pull it off. And again, once I really get this thing to where it's shooting the way I want it to shoot, and I find the ammunition it likes, I might give that one more try, and we'll see if it becomes a Tack Driver in the future. In any case, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, remember the discount code from House of Pain, either House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munition. Either one, my discount code will work for, and it is HRFUNK10. So you can use that discount code there and save yourself some money from your purchase from House of Pain. Don't forget the Target sponsor for the channel, folks. Go to Targets Online. This is one of their Targets right here. Check out their inventory and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. Until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.